to you live today. I want to talk to you about the difference between money mindset and wealth identity and what this has to do with everything in your life. So, wealth identity, your identity, not just, I'm going to actually talk about wealth identity in a second. Your identity is the set of beliefs that you have about yourself. It's about how you interact in life in general because of this is who I believe I am. Now, your identity is constructed somewhat intentionally, like things that you've intentionally set to believe about yourself. Like if you've ever done affirmations or things like that, you've set those belief structures. But the vast majority of your identity is things that you've picked up from your family, from your neighborhood, from your school, from your religion. And all of these ideas start to construct, who you believe you are. Now, a wealth identity is something that's done with intention, and it's crafted on purpose. It's a set of beliefs about that match who you want to be, who you want, like essentially just who you want to be inside of this life that you're intentionally building. So most people don't ever build their lives intentionally. They just kind of go about things. Most people don't write down their goals or anything like that. So when we know what it is that we want to be creating in our lives, in our businesses, and more importantly, who we want to be inside of that gives us the ability to start to look at here is some places that I need to grow and expand. Here are some places I'm doing great. Here are some things that I need to let go of. Here are some habits that no longer, I don't need those habits. I don't need those belief structures. I don't need those survival mechanisms where I'm going. So wealth identity is an intentional set of beliefs, judgments, ways of being that you have for yourself that you've constructed on purpose. Now, most people don't have one of these. Most people are not, most coaches and, people teaching about scaling a business are not talking about this. And in a second, I'm going to share a story with you of why this is so important. Money mindset is a set of beliefs, judgments, ways of being that you have that it pertains to the procurement, the use of money itself. Now, money mindset is formed in the same way that your identity is formed, and that you get these ideas coming from your family, your friends, your school, your community, some ideas you've installed yourself. And that's about your relationship to the tool, to the resource of money. The difference between these two things is your identity helps you to know who you're being inside of your life, and your money mindset helps you in your relationship with money. So when you know your wealth identity and then your money mindset comes in and can support that, you end up with speed and alignment toward any goal that you're working on, because you can start to see, this belief about money serves this, and this belief about money doesn't. The thing about money mindset is that it's usually taught independently of wealth identity. And while for many people, it still offers vast improvement. When you're going to scale your business, when you're going to build a life big of intention, you need your money, you need those supports to make sense. So I'm going to give you an example. So I once talked to a woman who came to see me. She had a wonderful identity and a money mindset as an employee, right? She had two parents that were on top of their shit. They were both in the municipal, one was a teacher, one did maintenance for the town. And so she had these set of beliefs about her as about her. That money mindset or that identity shifted when she bought a business. So she took out a loan, she bought a business. So what ended up happening is her wealth identity shifted. She went from somebody who worked from somebody else, and she, all of the limits and the security that comes with, being an employee for somebody else. And she shifted that, and she bought a business, and she became a business owner. So these are two different sets of identity. So what ended up happening is her money mindset she didn't shift it. And so the beliefs that she had around debt, the beliefs that she had around cash flow, the beliefs that she had around everything that once served her when she had the identity, this wealth identity of work hard, and get a great retirement plan, that no longer fit anymore. So what ended up happening is she was so stressed out about the debt, because as that, when she was learning about money from her parents and from these external sources, she thought that money was or not money, she thought that that debt was so wrong, so bad, so dangerous, something to be so avoided. So when she bought the business provided plenty of cash flow for her to be able to service the debt, grow the business, and pay herself. But what was happening was she was sending all of the money toward the debt, which meant that she did not have money to grow the business and she did not have money to pay herself. Now, as she did not take an income, all of the problems of not having an income start creeping into her personal life. And this is adding so much stress and so much anxiety. And she's wondering if she's doing it all wrong. And she's feeling like a failure because she spent all this money and now there's no return on it. Now, it wasn't that there was no return available. The business cash flow was just fine, but it was those belief structures that were no longer serving. So this is a perfect example. So she changed her identity without upgrading her money mindset. And so, chaos ensued. And when you have, when you craft a wealth identity on purpose, and then you look and you see what sorts of beliefs you want to have about money, you're in a place where money can serve that lifestyle, right? Like it's the lifestyle that you're building, and then you have the tool. When you have so what I just explained was a situation where her identity shifted, but her money mindset didn't shift. Chaos ensues. I'm going to tell you a different story. Most people don't have a well-crafted wealth identity, and they just focus on their money mindset work. And that, like I said, that is good up until a certain point. But once you start scaling a business, once you start growing a big life, that becomes a really, really dangerous thing because you don't have a North Star to gauge these things upon. And most of us learn money mindset from other people. We learn money mindset, right? Like I've learned money mindset from T. Harv Eker, Amanda Frances, Denise Duffield Thomas, the Money Shaman. I mean, I've read literally hundreds of books about money mindset. And each book comes from a different perspective with all of those people's worldviews and everything else. And so when you don't know who you want to be inside of your life and you're just doing this money mindset work, what can really end up happening is that you bend your identity to be able to make the money. And I'll share this with you. So in 2020, I did this. I made that mistake. I did not understand the importance of a wealth identity until I made the mistake. But I started to grow my business and it was going so well. But what ended up happening was I was starting to become somebody that I started to become a person, and I started to build a business that I didn't like. I was working more than I wanted to. I had outsourced my favorite parts of my business. I was stressed. I was resentful, and all of this stuff was happening because as I was scaling my business, I'd lost sight of who I wanted to be inside of that business, right? So that's a second way that these two things, when so if you lack a wealth identity and you have great money mindset, you're putting a lot of power for money behind something that's not attached to anything important. It's a fucked up way. So if you have a wealth identity shift, you need to get your money mindset to match. And if you have a wealth identity but you have crappy money mindset, you're not going to have the resources or the tools. So these two things, where I'm going with this, is these two things really need to be together. They really need to be in alignment with each other. And when that happens, that's where you have so much success, because you'll be able to start to see, oh, this part of my identity is a little too small, or there's a judgment here that I need to look at. And actually in my next video, I'm going to talk to you about judgments, because judgments are one of the most expensive things that could ever, mental structures when they're too small. So if you have these two things, then you're really set up for great success. All right. I hope this was helpful. If you want to talk to me about really crafting your wealth identity and scaling your business, based on this whole life that you're creating, and then getting your money mindset to match, in the link or in my description, there's a link to my calendar. You can book a call with me. And then we'll start to look at your limitless wealth business blueprint. And then if working together is a fit, then we'll go from there. All right. I love you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you. Bye.